I think it's really important for young ladies to just see a woman doing something that is, like you say, uncommon, and just seeing that they can do it. Because for me, basketball and coaching is a really good example. It's a male-dominated field. You're not as common to see females coaching, and so for girls to see a woman in that kind of like leadership position and role, I think it's really, really important. And I try my best as a woman coach right now to just encourage other ladies who used to coach and be players to kind of get out there if that's something they're interested in doing. Because I think the more we present ourselves in the game, the more the girls can kind of see they can do it too.
Hello, everyone. This is Coach Tim Brown, author of the book, Uncommon Athletes, Filled with Passion, Fueled by Purpose. I'm excited to have with me a truly uncommon athlete, but also a young lady who's really committed to giving back. And I began this series with young coaches, just to give young coaches an opportunity to share their story. And I want to encourage all that are listening, be sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and tell others about it so we continue to bring these broadcasts. But today I have with me Coach Jaren Francis, and she's from a basketball family. If you're from Columbus, Ohio, you'll recognize that name. Her dad was a top high school basketball player, Wehrle High School, won a few state championships there. And then the daughter and sons continued that legacy here in Columbus. And so I'm just excited about this interview today. So welcome to the show, Coach.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited.
Yeah, I am. I want to jump right in and talk about this DreamChasers deal that you got going. I've been following you on Instagram and just following your journey in coaching with JH95 AAU basketball program, and just the impact you're having on young ladies. Could you talk about the vision of DreamChasers and how that came about?
Yeah, so it's funny because initially I wasn't really looking to train, but I had got so much interest. And so just recently, the past few years is when I've really gotten consistent and with promoting it and just getting it out there and getting kids to train with me. My vision for DreamChasers is to eventually become like a training facility geared towards girls and girls chasing their dreams as basketball players. Not only just offering skill and development, but other things like activities and things for the community and things geared towards girls and girls basketball players, and just kind of having sort of like the old hoop, something like that.
Okay.
I'm just looking to really build and grow that.
Yeah, I noticed that can you talk kind of about the relationships you're able to build with these young ladies, first off, and how important it is for young female athletes to see other female athletes, see young women in charge, so to speak, that are training. Can you talk about how important that is for girls, for young girls?
I think it's really important for young ladies to just see a woman doing something that is, like you say, uncommon, and just seeing that they can do it. Because for me, basketball and coaching is a really good example. It's a male-dominated field. You're not as common to see females coaching, and so for girls to see a woman in that kind of like leadership position and role, I think it's really, really important. And I try my best as a woman coach right now to just encourage other ladies who used to coach and be players to kind of get out there if that's something they're interested in doing. Because I think the more we present ourselves in the game, the more the girls can kind of see they can do it too.
Yeah, good. Because I just think you can only be what you see, by them seeing you in that position, seeing other women in that position, then they say, hey, I can be there one day.
Yeah.
You grew up in a basketball family. Did you feel any pressure to play basketball? Was the heat on that you were going to play basketball?
I didn't really feel pressure to play basketball. I more so felt the pressure to be good at basketball, but basketball was kind of introduced into our lives naturally and very early by my parents, obviously. They both went to OSU and are sports people, and we started playing at 3 years old and just kind of naturally gravitated towards basketball anyway. So no pressure to play the sport, but pressure to be good at the sport.
That's a great answer. How was it playing with your twin sister? How was that?
It was great. I loved playing with my sister. She was like it was like we were two different players. I was more of the finesse kind of player, and she was like the bully. So it was just awesome to be out there in that court with her.
Right, that's awesome. And I know your family is close, siblings, mom, dad. Can you talk about that family bond and how important that is?
It's so important, especially as a basketball player, to just have that support and backing and understanding by your family. We are very, very, very close. And basketball is something that really brings us closer. It's something that we all can relate to and all love in a different kind of way. But we're all really, really close. My brother, my sister, my mom, my dad. And we just really hold on to the Francis family and being that tight.
Yeah, that name, that's important. Now, you personally, Coach, you had some great success in high school. You know, you got a little greedy. You won 3 state championships, 2 back-to-back at Harvest Prep, and then went over to Afrocentric and picked up another one. Could you talk about that experience of winning 3 state championships?
It was such an experience and something that I'll never forget. And it really, really, I'll say, molded me into the person that I am today. I learned a lot through just how to get to a championship, the hard work, the sacrifice, the willingness, the determination. It's on a whole different type of level than just winning. But winning a championship takes something different, and I can now channel that into my adult life to just keep persevering, never give up. When it gets hard, to keep going. Those kind of things are the things that I can take into my adult life now through winning those championships.
We hear pros talk about how hard it is to go back to back. After you win that first one, how hard it is to get another one back to back. Talk about how hard that was after you guys won your first one at Harvest Prep. How tough was that to get back to the mountain?
It was really tough, physically and mentally, just to turn around and do that same season that took so much sacrifice again. And I'll say it was the same kind of ride and journey, and it was just as fun, just as challenging. And it continued to build us. And it was really, our first one was like, wow, we really did it. And then we turned around and I was like, okay, we're back, So it was a lot of confidence building as well for us too.
I know you're a strong woman of faith. Can you talk about your faith and role that I know it took a lot of faith, a lot of nerve actually. You guys at a small school, Harvest Prep, not a lot of kids and at the school, and you guys. Well, can you talk about your faith, how important that is in your life?
It's so important, and through those championships, especially that first one, the one that like you said, we were a small school and not expected to do those things. We held so tight to God. It took us so far. We held on to God, we held on each other, and we kept on going.
That's awesome. That's awesome. After high school, you went to Ohio State. You were on a club team there. I was reading about you were on a club team, and then all of a sudden you decided to transfer over to Capital University to play a collegiate basketball. Can you talk about what led to that decision?
So initially, coming in, I actually went to Capital first, and then decided I thought I didn't want to play basketball anymore. And so I went ahead and I transferred over to OSU. And as soon as I got there, I found myself on the club team, and I had a blast. And I think part of that was, for me, it was kind of taking those pressures away as a basketball player and just kind of playing and having fun. And I realized shortly through that, I needed that structure and that discipline with basketball. I was missing those things. And so I returned back to Capital. And part of the reason why I coach today is just to kind of help guide young-minded athletes at that, into making good decisions, good choices, and not to give up when things get hard. That's my biggest thing as a coach, and why I coach today.
That's great. And that was leading to our next question. Where did you find that passion for coaching? Was that always something you wanted to do, or how did you get involved in coaching?
Well, I kind of got into it through losing basketball in a sense. I could no longer play. So at about 20 years old, I was just looking for a way to, so at first I got into coaching selfishly. I was just looking for a way to be around the game and just be around that high level again of basketball. And so I found myself at 20 returning back to coaching. And through that, I found what coaching really is about. It's about those relationships and building those bonds and being that person for those young ladies and those young people, and being there for them and that support system and that person that can believe in them. And that's what continued and started to grow that passion. And I haven't turned back ever since. I have been coaching for 8 years consistently, school ball and AAU basketball. So the passion is real.
The passion is real. It's real. And as we think about this, you've been around the game a while, and you and I both know the landscape has changed,
Yes.
Of girls basketball, women's basketball, girls basketball. I think now we're celebrating 50 years of Title IX. It's a big deal now. They're talking about that and how the landscape has changed. Well, what have you seen in particularly the attitudes of young ladies and maybe some differences when you were growing up and being coached? Talk about how you're relating to this generation of athletes.
Definitely a difference, especially with, I think basketball now today is very geared towards the social media aspect towards it. And you kind of lose sight of what basketball kind of really is about. And so I just kind of try and instill some of the things that I've learned as a player, but also still being able to relate to the way that basketball has changed for these girls and the way that these girls might think of basketball, and just kind of try and instill those kind of old mindsets and ways while still combining and just making them understand, it's about both.
Yeah, and when you say it's about both, talk about some of those importance of those. Talk about some of those life lessons that you want to impact in your players, both on the court and they can carry on off the court. How are you able to impact those life lessons? Just
instilling in them to, again, just always work hard and not give up, because there is something greater at the end of those, those hardships. Just always pushing through and believing and chasing your dreams. Don't give up on your dreams. That's something that I really want to instill in the youth today. Don't give up on your dreams when they get hard. Keep going, keep fighting, and keep persevering.
Coach, that leads us to that name, DreamChasers. Now I can see why you chose that name. And I know sometimes we have those dreams for others, but what is that dream that you're chasing?
I feel like sometimes I'm chasing so many dreams, but ultimately my dream is to just be that role model and that person for the community of Columbus. And in whatever ways that may look like, whether it be through my training, through coaching, and just being out there as a woman in the basketball field. So that's my dream.
As you look back over your life, who are those persons that in your life that you kind of looked up to, that you model a lot of what you do after?
Well, that's the thing. I think that's why I really have gotten into coaching. I can't think of any consistent women that I could look up to. All I could do is kind of instill all the things that my male coaches have kind of put into me and just turn them into my version and give it to girls basketball in a female's lens, from a female's lens. And that's really why I've gotten into coaching. I had to think back myself, like I didn't have that.
That's great. And I think it's so important that we, and God gives us a plan. I think God has spoken to you that's your purpose. God's giving you a purpose and a plan, and he'll fulfill that purpose,
Yes.
And I'm so glad that you answered the call, that you see this landscape, you see what's going in the world, and say, hey, I can make a difference. And I want to encourage that you are truly are making a difference in the lives of these young ladies. You've been a coach's daughter. Could you talk to parents about how important the role of parents is encouraging young ladies to enjoy the game, the friendships, the teamwork, et cetera, all those things that come with being part of a team and being involved in sports? Can you talk to parents now about how important that is? Their role?
I think it's so important. And I like how you said to enjoy the game, because there's so many different pressures just being a basketball player, and then add on being a girl on top of that as well. And I think it's so important for parents to just be that support system for their athlete. And my parents did a wonderful job at that. Just kind of being that, because like I said, basketball, especially at those high levels, it can be pressuring and a bit stressful. But to turn to your parents and they can understand, and you can kind of talk to them and they can kind of give you their experience, even if they were athletes themselves, and just kind of tell you, the perspective that you may need as that young athlete, because you are young at the time.
Yeah, and I think that's important.
Yeah.
And you talked about that pressure. Even today, we see that pressure at a younger age now. To be an All-American, to be a champion, to be on social media, to be the player of the game,
Yes, exactly.
And make sure you got some good highlights out there so people can see at a younger age, you can see those pressures. So through the let's talk a little bit about JH95. I know you guys are a new program. I know Jamal Hughes well. He's doing a great job. What would you say is the culture that you guys are trying to create in that? We know it's basketball because it's all bad. Everybody's a basketball team. But what kind of culture are you guys trying to create in the program?
We're trying to create the culture of family and the culture of, like we said, it's more than the highlights. It's more than being that top player. It's about, being better young ladies and young men in this world. And that's what we really try and promote. I think it's important or it helps that me and Jamal are so young so that these young people can see that we can do those things too. We can be a family, we can be united, we can give back to the community. And like I said, I think it's an important key that we're young and we can be viewed by the youth as those kind of leaders and role models.
Yeah, that's powerful. Yeah. That's what you guys are doing. You kind of new kids on the block. Yeah. The all Ohio days and all that stuff. You kind of new kids on the block, and I love watching what you guys are doing, the family you're creating. You can really tell you're doing a great job by the fact that young people are coming back to the program. Number one, and number two, they're bringing somebody. They're bringing someone. So obviously they had a great experience and they all have friends. It's, this is where you want to come and play. And it's not just basketball. And I was sharing with Jamal is that everywhere you guys go, I know you have more than just a basketball experience.
Yes.
Whatever city you go to, you're looking for something that the kids can experience, besides basketball. They can get a holistic approach to this whole thing. And also love the fact that you guys are really involved in their mental health space, that they know. I think young people need to know somebody they can count on.
Absolutely.
Someone that
it's
they
so
can
important.
share with, consult with, someone that believes in them, that sees the goodness in them. I have this thing in Proverbs 18:21. It says this: life and death is in the power of the tongue. And I really believe sometimes if you watch enough television, all that is death. Speaking over young people, that's all that is. And I love how you guys are speaking life into these young people, that you have a life, you have a bright future, that God has a plan for you, and they're in the right place at the right time. You're in the right place at the right time, to share that with young people. So lastly, can you just tell the audience how they can get involved in DreamChasers? I want to make sure they know how they can contact you and be a part of what you're doing.
So like parents, currently I'm working on kind of growing and building, but currently you can contact me by going to my Instagram account at dreamcoach_22. And there is a link. I currently train in the Hilliard and working towards the Reynoldsburg area. But there is a link that you can use to sign up for my training. And then also use my contact on my Instagram to reach me directly for any kind of training that you might be interested in. Like I said, I am still trying, kind of growing and kind of getting more into the Columbus Reynoldsburg area now, but for now I am training in the Hilliard area.
Oh, great. Okay, Coach. Well, players travel now, so
they do.
That's why they call them travel teams.
That's right. That's right.
All you moms out there and kids that are listening, don't get there. That's the bottom line.
Yeah.
Just get there. It'll be worth your while.
Yes,
Coach, I appreciate your enthusiasm. I'm looking forward to following your trail, following your journey, the great things. So, Coach, thanks for being on the show.
I appreciate you for having me, and thank you for your time.
All right. Be blessed.
Thank you.